What's going on, everybody? Friendly neighborhood YouTube elf here, and we're back with another review. Today we're going to be talking about Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Be warned, I just got over the flu, and my ears are extremely clogged right now, so I can barely hear myself speak. I'm going to be talking in this review with full spoilers, so if you've seen the movie, or if you don't care, welcome. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind was released in 1984, and was one of the first Hayao Miyazaki movies ever made. It was based off of the comic book series that Hayao Miyazaki had been working on before he got into movies. You can tell a lot of his really powerful ideas revolving around usually nature and humanity kind of had their debut in this movie, and later got reimagined as Princess Mononoke. Both of these movies, and a lot of other movies he has made, have a lot of similarities. For example, a neutral main character with an animal sidekick. Look, I've got a little animal sidekick as well, who is a mediator of sorts between warring factions, usually between man and nature. So let's delve more into this movie's title and title character, Nausicaa. This story takes place in a very, very far distant future, where few and far between surviving factions of humans fight for power and control, while this ever-encroaching, toxic jungle slowly swallows the land, and it's guarded by giant insects called ohms. Nausicaa lives in the Valley of the Wind, which is one of the more few pristine places in this world, because the ocean breeze keeps the toxic jungle spores from taking root there, so it's really pure and clean, and the soil is usable for farming. Of course, the valley's peaceful lifestyle goes to shit when more warlike factions of humans end up there. What can you do? In the midst of all this, you have Jesus Christ. I mean, Luke Skywalker. No, I mean Nausicaa, who's the princess of the Valley of the Wind. She is first and foremost a pacifist. There are numerous scenes where she uses her charm, her wit, and her very iron will to make people do what she wants without any violence whatsoever. And more than that, this vulnerability that she has allows people to see right and wrong in situations where they normally wouldn't. A couple of examples of this are when she allows other people or creatures to hurt her, just enough to the point where her vulnerability seeps into them, and their harmful emotions just kind of dissolve to the point where they just want to help her. Such as when she lets the fox squirrel Pokemon thing bite her in order for it to gain her trust, or when she just takes off her breathing mask in front of her comrades in a very toxic environment to get them to, automatically pay attention to her and listen to her. It's slightly manipulative, but also kind of sweet at the same time. At least for this world, being a pacifist and being successful at it is not something that, should be taken very lightly in this context. There is one scene where you see her kill, and she only does it because she's blinded by rage from the fact that her father just got killed right in front of her. And interestingly enough, after the scene is over, later on, she's almost more distraught about the fact that she killed people than she is about her own father's death, which kind of says something about her character. Nausicaa is meant to be a character that kind of transcends the world that she's in. She almost has a sixth sense for the grand scheme of things. For example, in the beginning of the movie, you come to understand that she doesn't fear the toxic jungle as much as everybody else does, and she has a respect for it, and she wants to cooperate with it, and she's friends with the insects that live there, and she knows how to communicate with them. You later find out that the toxic jungle isn't actually toxic itself, but is in fact a giant filtration system that the Earth itself has developed in order to cleanse itself from all the damage that humans did a long time ago. Along with Nausicaa, I feel there are two characters worthy of mention. There's this kid called Asbel, this guy who ends up becoming allies with Nausicaa after he tries to kill her, funnily enough. And this is an interesting point I wanted to bring up. You have these two, a young male and a young woman, in this epic fantasy, and they spend a lot of time together and they get very close, but it's never said anywhere or even implied that they have romantic thing together. They're just friends, and they come to respect each other that way. And I think it's interesting that you don't always need, an epic romance to make an epic fantasy film, which is cool. You also have Lord Ayyappa, who is voiced by one of my favorite actors, Patrick Stewart, and he's this master sword master, and he's basically a god when it comes to combat in this universe. But he never kills anybody throughout the entire movie because he shares Nausicaa's ideals and beliefs. Speaking of Patrick Stewart, I'm going to be reviewing the movie Logan very soon, so stick around on this channel if you want to see that. He is one of my favorite actors by far, and I'm very excited to review another movie with him in it. Back to Nausicaa, let's talk about the technical aspects of the movie. There isn't a whole lot to complain about here. The animation is beautiful, especially considering when it came out. This movie came out a long time ago. Every frame to me, especially like these wide, swooping shots that show, like, you know, into the distance, all of them could be their own painting to me. It's beautiful. The only two real problems I have with this movie, the first one, the bigger one, is sometimes it seems like the English dub translates the original Japanese into English that just feels kind of taken too literally and out of place. Yeah, it feels a little bit robotic sometimes, the way people spew out dialogue. The musical score is kind of a catch-22 because I feel like half of the time it fits perfectly in whatever scene it's in, and it's very just like to the point, intense. And then the other half of the movie, I feel like the music is kind of corny and repetitive. And I'm also going to blame that on the fact that it came out a long time ago and it's just the time period that it came out in. Also, I want to mention that Nausicaa was like one of my first elementary school crushes. Like little elementary school me saw this like cartoon girl and was like, wow, she's so beautiful. Oh my god, like the way she like soars through the sky, holy shit. So that brings me to my next point. I saw this movie at a very young age, which means I'm going to have a lot of nostalgia for it, which does kind of make me a little biased, but that's not going to stop me from giving this movie a 9 out of 10. Alright, that concludes it for this review. If you think I left anything out, leave it in the comments below. Rate and subscribe if you feel like seeing more of this face. And I'll see y'all next week. Peace.